rain clung to the windows of Lumiere, a high-end restaurant nestled in the heart of Seattle, its marble floors gleaming beneath the delicate glimmer of crystal chandeliers. The clink of silverware echoed through the room, weaving together the hum of self-important conversations and the silent glide of waitstaff. But Emily Carter wasn't just another server. At 20, she moved through the crowd with a quiet grace that concealed a storm within her. Her black uniform was flawless, her chestnut hair perfectly pulled into a bun, except for a single stubborn curl that always managed to escape. Beneath her collar, hidden from view, hung a pendant, a crescent moon locket. Its silver surface was engraved with delicate vines that seemed to whisper secrets, a fragile link to a past she could barely remember. Emily's mind, as always, wandered back to the moment when she was just 5 years old. Her life had shattered on a fateful day. She remembered the woods by Puget Sound, the scent of pine, and her father's voice as he tied a blindfold around her head for a game of hide-and-seek. "This is yours, Emmy," he had said, fastening the pendant around her neck. "It will always bring you back to us." That was the last memory she had of her parents before everything changed. Hours later, she was found alone in the woods, her parents gone, the pendant still tightly clutched in her hand. She had been taken to a foster home with no explanation, no answers, only the locket that had become her anchor to a past she couldn't quite grasp. The pendant was the only thing that remained from that lost life, and she wore it always, though she kept it hidden. In a place like Lumiere, a fine dining restaurant where Seattle's wealthiest mingled and dined, it was the one thing that could betray her origins, a reminder of everything she wasn't. As she moved through the crowd, her hands gripping the tray of martinis she carried, she could feel the weight of that secret pressing against her chest. But it wasn't just her past that threatened her tonight. The restaurant's manager, Victor Grayson, had his eye on her as she passed by his table. His sharp gaze lingered on the pendant, his voice cold and menacing. "Take it off, Carter. It's against policy." Emily's fingers instinctively reached for the pendant, tracing its curves beneath her uniform. She could feel his eyes on her, a sharp demand in his voice. "It's tucked away," she murmured, trying to keep her voice steady, her gaze falling to the floor. But Victor wasn't so easily deterred. His lips twisted into a sneer as he took a step closer, his words cutting into her. "I don't care if it's tucked away. I told you to remove it, or you're out." Her heart hammered in her chest as she met his eyes for a brief moment. The threat was clear, and it was real. Emily had no choice but to keep the pendant on. It was the only link to the family she'd lost, the only piece of herself that still felt like hers. The weight of the locket around her neck was both a comfort and a curse. She couldn't afford to lose her job, not with rent overdue, not with her dreams of finishing college slipping further away each day. But she couldn't let go of the pendant either. As the night wore on, Emily's anxiety grew. The restaurant buzzed with the sounds of Seattle's elite, venture capitalists, tech moguls, and old money tycoons. Emily moved through the crowd, her every step calculated, each movement carrying the heavy weight of her survival. But something was different tonight. At table 12, a new guest had arrived, Alexander Hawthorne, a name that held power in the city, a man known for his influence in the renewable energy sector. At 58, with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, he looked every bit the part of a man who controlled the future. But tonight, he wasn't here for business. He was here for something else, something far more personal. As Emily approached his table, her hands trembled. She greeted him softly, offering a smile as she took his drink order, but his gaze was unwavering. It landed on the pendant, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. Emily didn't notice, too focused on maintaining her composure, but Alexander couldn't tear his eyes away from the delicate locket. His mind raced. The pendant. It was impossible. The same crescent moon locket. Once she left the table, Alexander's fingers moved on their own, reaching into his wallet for a worn photograph. The photo was old, faded.
But the girl in it, his daughter, Sophia, was unmistakable. A 5-year-old girl with hazel eyes, her smile wide and bright, clutching the same crescent moon pendant, the same one Emily wore. He froze. The memory hit him like a wave, overwhelming, consuming. Sophia, his daughter, lost to him 15 years ago. Her disappearance had shattered his life, and the search for her had driven him into the arms of work, into the depths of building his empire. But now, here, in front of him, was a girl who looked too much like the daughter he had lost. His heart raced as Emily returned with his water, her movements graceful despite the exhaustion etched in her face. But Alexander's eyes were fixed on the pendant again. He could hardly believe it. Could this be her? Could this be the daughter he had spent years searching for? "Everything okay, sir?" Emily's voice pulled him from his thoughts. Her face was a mask of politeness, unaware of the storm brewing within him. But the pendant, there was no mistaking it. Before he could speak, Victor's voice cut through the tension. He stormed over to the table, his face flushed with anger. "Carter! I told you to lose that necklace. It's against policy." The room fell silent as diners turned to watch the confrontation unfold. Emily's cheeks burned as Victor's words rang out. "It's from my father," she said quietly, her voice trembling but firm. "I can't take it off." Victor's laugh was bitter, cruel. "Your father? You're a foster kid, Carter. I know where you came from. That thing is probably stolen, just like everything else about you." The words stung like a physical blow. Emily's grip tightened around the pendant, the cool metal grounding her. It was hers. It was all she had left. "It's mine," she whispered. "He gave it to me." But Victor didn't care. His eyes flashed with malice. "You're done here. Pack your things and get out." Panic surged through Emily's chest. "Please," she begged, her voice breaking. "But I can't lose this job." But Victor was already turning away. The words of dismissal were cruel, final. And that's when Alexander stood. His chair scraped against the marble floor, and every eye in the room turned to him. "Is there a problem here?" His voice was calm, but the authority in it silenced the room instantly. Victor faltered, but quickly recovered. "Just handling an insubordinate employee, sir. Nothing to worry about." Alexander's eyes flicked to Emily before turning back to Victor. "Insubordinate for wearing a necklace? It seems to me that you're the one causing the scene." Victor's jaw tightened. He was losing control. "She's a thief, sir. I'm firing her. Effective immediately." Emily's world tilted. Her breath hitched in her chest. "No, please," she pleaded, but Alexander cut her off. "Do you know who I am?" His voice was low, dangerous, but calm. Victor hesitated, his bravado cracking. "A customer, sir?" Alexander pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "James, contact the owner of Lumiere. I'm prepared to buy this place outright. I want a meeting tonight." Victor's face drained of color, the reality of what was happening crashing down on him. Emily stood frozen as Alexander hung up the phone. His gaze softened as he turned to her, his voice gentle now. "What's your name?" "Emily," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "Emily Carter." Alexander repeated, the words clicking in place. His eyes locked onto the pendant, and his hand trembled as he pulled out the photo again. "Do you recognize this?" Emily took the photo from him, her fingers brushing against his. She looked at the picture, and everything inside her seemed to shatter. The girl in the photo, she was 5 years old, smiling, her hands clutching the same pendant. Her breath caught in her throat. That's me," she whispered, her voice shaking. The words hung in the air, heavy like the weight of years lost. Alexander's knees buckled as he stumbled forward, his arms wrapping around her. "You're my daughter," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've always been my daughter." The room erupted in whispers, but Emily barely heard them. The pendant pressed between them, a symbol of everything lost and found. As Victor tried to protest, Alexander's voice silenced him. "This woman is my daughter, Sophia Hawthorne." In the end, the truth came flooding back. The years of searching, the pain, the longing, it all led them here, to a family reunited, to a future full of possibilities. Sophia, once lost, was now home,